Video game designer Brendan elucidates that scientists employ mazes with rats to explore how organisms employ memory for learning, adaptation, and evolution, essentially forming an internal map of their environment. Brendan, relying on these principles, designs his games and emphasizes the pivotal role of memory in human progress. During a beach outing with his wife Claire and daughter Sam, the family experiences joy until tragedy strikes. Sam, in pursuit of shells with her Curious George toy, is swept away by the waves, leading to heartbreak. Despite the support offered during the funeral, Brendan and Claire grapple with profound devastation. Claire struggles to accept the reality, while Brendan, emotionally shattered, finds solace in his daughter's room. Months later, Claire decides to move forward, initiating the packing of Sam's room. Brendan, unprepared for the transition, panics, pleading to restore everything. Sorting through Sam's favorite books, Brendan notices the title Berenstain Bears, spelled with an A. Contrary to his recollection of an E. Sleepless, Brendan encounters a noise and discovers his brother-in-law Matt in the kitchen. As they share a late-night snack, Brendan questions Matt about the book title, finding shared confusion. Investigating online, Brendan stumbles upon the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon attributing shared false memories to alternate timelines or parallel universes. The following day, Brendan observes a family picture with conflicting memories with Claire, fueling his exploration of the Mandela Effect. Brendan delves deeper, exploring documentaries on string theory and the possibility of a real matrix. The phenomenon becomes an obsession, serving as a distraction from grief. Seeking solace, Brendan consults a priest about the purpose behind Sam's untimely death. The priest attributes it to free will, considering it a significant gift bestowed by God. Brendan, further entrenched in his investigation, engages Matt with newfound information. Matt, consulting a neurologist friend, explains the imperfections of human memory, filling gaps with external information. Despite the rationale, Brendan remains obstinate, unwilling to accept coincidence as the only explanation. Later during dinner, Claire expresses concern about Brendan's recent withdrawal and urges him to share his troubles. Brendan, in an attempt to convey a point, prompts Claire to describe the Monopoly Man. To her surprise, she realizes that the little man in the game actually lacks a monocle. Brendan then introduces Sam's Curious George book, claiming the monkey used to have a tail in the drawings, even swearing that Sam's plushie shared this feature. Uncomfortable with the use of their daughter's death in this context, Claire objects. Brendan persists, referencing Claire's previous admission that the situation didn't feel real after the funeral. When he delves into the concept of shifting realities, Claire admonishes Brendan for fixating on an unfounded obsession instead of moving on from his grief. Subsequently, Brendan and Claire join Matt and his new boyfriend for a double date. Brendan, lost in thought, attempts to retreat to the bar, but is reminded by Matt to support Claire. Acknowledging the truth in Matt's words, Brendan returns to the table. However, upon arriving home, Brendan resumes his research into the simulation theory, positing that we exist in a computer-programmed reality. He compiles notes, maintains a board, and fervently searches for proof of a parallel universe where Sam is alive. Watching videos featuring prominent figures discussing the simulation theory, such as Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brendan discovers the name Roland Fuchs, supposedly working on proving the simulation. After encountering a corrupted video, Brendan resorts to piracy sites, repairs the file, and watches Fuchs's lecture. The video corrupts once more, leaving Brendan empty-handed. Determined not to concede, Brendan locates Fuchs's current workplace and records a video message. Failing to receive a response, he travels to the university to contact Fuchs in person. Unfortunately, Fuchs dismisses him due to a busy schedule. That night, Brendan attempts to reconnect with Claire but interrupts the moment, believing he hears Sam calling for him. Frustrated, Claire suggests seeing a grief counselor. Instead of keeping his promise to see a counselor, Brendan visits Fuchs's house the next day, convincing him to spare a few minutes. Fuchs dismisses the Mandela Effect as fake memories, but theorizes that they might be glitches in the simulation after a system update. Brendan, contemplating the idea of reality as a computer code, suggests hacking it. Fuchs deems the notion absurd and takes Brendan to the university. discussing the possibility that the world exists only when observed by a conscious being. Brendan draws parallels to video games, where areas are loaded only when a player enters, proposing to overload the simulation's processor. Fuchs reveals the university's possession of a quantum computer, a powerful machine capable of executing such a plan. They enter the lab together, but their discussion of entering a code is interrupted by Dr. Manning, who disapproves of Brendan's presence. Returning to Fuchs's house, Fuchs speculates that the simulation attempted to thwart him, considering Brendan a bug in the system. He emphasizes the danger of ideas. Brendan, concerned whether the simulation seeks recreation or power, draws parallels between the entity behind it and political and corporate power. That night, Brendan dreams of Sam's death and wakes to her calling. Rushing to Sam's room, he witnesses a human shadow glitch and disappear. Attempting to clear his mind with a drive, he sees the world as a chain of code connected to a quantum computer. Falling asleep in the car, he wakes in a downtown alley. A painful, high-pitched sound and reality glitches ensue before he suddenly wakes in his usual bed. Upon leaving the room, he is shocked to see Sam in her own room, witnessing a bizarre sequence where reality seems to warp. Brendan questions his sanity, and Claire attempts to comfort him. Brendan visits the library, immersing himself in books on quantum computing and working on a code to overload the simulation. Claire becomes worried as Brendan dedicates all his time to coding. One night, Sam appears in her parents' room after a nightmare. Brendan sleeps peacefully beside her, but wakes up alone, thinking it was a dream. Downstairs, Sam is present, and Brendan discovers that nobody remembers Sam's death, leading him to believe reality has been rewritten. Attempts to discuss this with Fuchs fail. Convinced that the simulation returned his daughter to thwart his code creation, Brendan is content to have Sam back. The family is joyous until Claire, after a nightmare, exhibits strange behavior. Brendan takes them to paint pottery, but cracks appear in his pot, and Claire becomes aggressive. Brendan decides to return home, but Claire is disturbed, claiming Sam shouldn't be there. Concerned about Claire's well-being, Brendan asks Matt to babysit Sam and rushes to Fuchs's house, only to learn Fuchs self-deleted 2 months ago. As Brendan works on the code and records a video for his family, Matt cares for Claire, who becomes catatonic. Brendan completes the code and heads to the university, encountering resistance from Manning. In an unintended altercation, Manning dies, and Brendan proceeds with the code implantation. The quantum computer exhibits anomalies, and the environment changes. Brendan finds himself on a bus and receives a call from Claire. He witnesses passengers glitching and a surreal cityscape. Returning home, he embraces his family as glitches intensify, culminating in a universal reboot. The screen displays code as the universe reboots from the beginning of existence, traversing various historical moments. When the reboot ends, Brendan finds himself on the beach with his family again. This time, when Sam announces her intention to search for shells, Brendan insists she leaves Curious George behind, saving her life. As we wrap up our exploration of the Mandela Effect, we've delved into the intriguing and mind-bending world of alternate realities and collective memory. From the unsettling phenomenon that gives the film its name to the blurred lines between truth and perception, the Mandela Effect has sparked fascinating conversations about the nature of reality. Share your thoughts, experiences, and theories in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more recaps and discussions on mind-bending films. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the labyrinth of memory and perception, where nothing is quite as it seems.